Chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes. Episode 240 episodes of MinneZona Sports Live. Wow, that's a lot of episodes. But without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way in Granite City Studios in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Vault, Shield. What's going on there, Shield?
You know, just when you think you're really starting to feel good about life within itself, then you get a hard reality check. And as Norm would say on Cheers, sadly, rest in peace, George, went, how's life going for you? Well, feels like it found me sleeping with his wife. That's how life has been going as of late, at least in the last few minutes. Overall, life is pretty great within itself because we get this show each and every Wednesday. Looking forward to another great one as always.
You know it. And there's a lot to talk about tonight. And in regards to our team that is still in the playoffs, those Minnesota Timberwolves, Voldy, the past, I want to say, ever since last night, we'll just go with that. Ever since last night, there have been a lot of upset T-Wolves fans, a lot of upset NBA fans in general. We will be talking about that tonight. We'll talk about the game overall as well. I've already had some zoners message us about a specific things that were happening in that game and whatnot. So Wolves lose to the Thunder. We will talk about that for Hot Take at length. So there's a lot to be said with that game, unfortunately. And then the NFL league meetings were in Minneapolis these past few days. There's been some talks about rule changes, things like that, tush push. We all know what happened there and whatnot. So we'll talk about that in ARA too. So we'll probably save that, but we'll talk about the other things that we're talking about. So tonight, Voldy, we are back with Where Are They Now? Yes, I am pumped, man. We got two solid gets for this, and one of them being Sam Cassell, which I think is a great a great thing to start, especially with how the things are going with our Minnesota Timberwolves. So we're feeling good about that. And then Voldy has a legend in its own, a Minnesota Golden Gophers legend, a guy that played for the New England Patriots, and I don't know if he played for any other teams, but we'll talk about
Denver.
that with where they're.
He ended up playing for Denver for a hot
really?
second.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So very hot second.
Hot second. So, pop filter, it's attacking me. But so we got that for Where Are They Now? You guys saw it on the socials. And then ARA, stacked ARA, as per usual. Let's take a quick look. Brock Purdy is a 26,600. He got a big extension. Let's just go with that. It's just a big amount of money. 5 years.
You got that FU Brock
265.
Purdy money right there.
That's right, yeah. $265 million extension. Jeez, that's amazing. So we'll talk about that, and then NFL. The NFL players okayed for the 2028 Olympic flag football domination at its finest. We will talk about that as well. Paul, is it Skenes or Skinner?
Skenes.
Paul Skenes to pitch for USA at the World Baseball Classic. Very good. He's a hell of a pitcher. That's very good.
Huge.
prosvsjoes is back. Voldy's going to be talking about all the happenings with that. And then to round things off, what they say, is it pedolympics or PED?
PED. Performance Enhancing Drugs.
Performance Drugs Olympics.
Break out the roids, baby.
Yep. Get them out. You know it. Shield shoutouts as well to round things off of the show. So this is a jam-packed show. We need to get to Tater Tot Hot Take. We got to talk about that game last night. And then we got to talk about the owners' meetings because a lot of rule changes, a lot of other stuff happening as well. So we will talk about that. So let's get it going. What's up? Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, it is that time for Tater Tot Hot Take. We start off with our Minnesota Timberwolves. Before we went off air, Voldy, last week, the Wolves won in, what was it again? 5.
Count 'em up.
5. Let's go. We'll give claps.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep, that's right. So it's still in play for this series right now, but unfortunately the Wolves lose 114-88 last night in Oklahoma City. Yes, it is. It sucks. It really does, especially what's been factored into it. I know, Voldy, you didn't really get a good chance to watch it and such, but just kind of looking at highlights and everything that you've seen so far from last night, what are your overall thoughts? And I will say, before we get to you, we will be talking about that specific thing that is taking the internet by storm right now. So bear with us. Give us your thoughts too. Feel free to head in the chat. I got some things I want to read off when we get to that too. So, Voldy, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, just looking comparatively with, of course, some of the highlights and then just looking at the box score too. I mean, this was a very lethargic start here for the Timberwolves in many respects. Of course, they did get that layoff with winning in 5. And of course, Oklahoma City is a team that had to go all the way 7 games against Denver. And I've said and always said the most dangerous team is the team that doesn't have time to think. They just go out and they react. They're just going minute by minute and they're just playing ball out there. And that's what Oklahoma City did last night. They were able to get out to it was a very back and forth start. And then ultimately with Anthony Edwards kind of, tweaking that ankle a little bit and him having to miss some time there, that kind of set the Timberwolves back. Of course, you did get that lead going into halftime. That was good. But then just a slow start out of the locker room, getting outscored in the third quarter alone, almost getting doubled up by OKC in the third quarter. Definitely not what they needed, especially when you have 4 or 5 starters for the Thunder with double-digit points and for the Well, for the Timberwolves, Julius Randle was shooting lights out for the most part. 5 of 6 from 3-point range, 9 of 13 overall, putting up 28 points. But then Anthony Edwards is only 18 points out of him. But I think what thing that was a big difference maker, despite the disparity in overall spread in points, OKC's bench, they're rolling out guys left, right, and they've got 7, 8 guys off the bench there that were playing minutes. The fact that you can throw Alex Caruso out there off the bench and he 22 minutes, put up 9 points, but still very crucial minutes, and especially going 3 of 3 from 3-point range, that's a big difference. Well, on the other side for the Timberwolves, of course, you have Naz Reid, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and DiVincenzo off the bench too. Still just wasn't enough for them to get what they needed for Game 1. And one thing that's going to be a real big misnomer and something that's really going to be a pain, can we just get the fact and just get it out of the way now? Nickeil Alexander-Walker and shaigilgeousalexander, yes, they're cousins, but let's not throw out their full names for the rest of the seasons. We got Na versus SGA. Nobody needs to say their full names. It's such a mouthful. Can we just get something else figured out? SGA is the MVP. He's not my MVP, but he's the MVP according to the league overall. Yeah. And just not what the Timberwolves needed for game number 1, and they're going to have to do a fair amount of adjustments for game 2 coming up.
Well, you put it in perspective, Voldy, and it's pretty much what happened. The one thing that I'll start with the positives here. Julius Randle was unconscious, from 3-point range. He was hitting like no other, and he was playing well. He was the only offense they really had in that first half. Ant had a couple, which was good, but obviously the injury with the tweak wasn't great. But then it just snowballed in the third. It just went from, the Wolves kind of being still kind of in it after the third, and then fourth quarter, it fell apart. The Wolves had a lot of open looks. Dante had a lot of open looks. Nickeil, unfortunately, I won't go the full last name, Voldy. Don't worry, he's there, so we're good. The thing is that I think Julius didn't really shoot much in the third. Or in the second half in general, excuse me, and especially Ant as well. But let me throw some numbers at you real quick. Yeah. From the field. Now, don't get me wrong. He is still our tribal chief, Naz Reid. Acknowledge him. He was 1 of 11 from the field goal range and 0 of 7 from 3. Okay, let's go to Dante.
Good. Not good, Bob.
Nope. Dante DiVincenzo, 3 for 14, 3 of 12 from 3-point range. Not good. And
not good, Bob.
3 of 11 and 2 of 9 from 3-point range. On this show, Voldy, I said this last week, especially in the Golden State series versus the Warriors. Or the series against Golden State, I should say. I already said the team. When Na has, double-digit points, like 10, 15, whatever. He had 8 last night, but he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. And it was just so bad, just these guys that we need to rely on to get this done, and they just didn't do it. Anthony Edwards, he was not great. He turned over the ball 4 times. Julius Randle, even though he was really good, he had 5 turnovers. The Wolves had 20. No, they did. 17. I swear to God, I thought they had 20. But, not good.
Turnovers, yep.
Yeah, that's not going to do it. And second chance points, especially the Thunder killed us, killed the Wolves there. So, I will say the Thunder showed up in the second half. Don't get me wrong. They took it to the Wolves, and the Wolves if they would have at least hit some of those shots, I believe they would have won the game, at least half of them at least. But the people want to point to the fact of this whole SGA thing, right? The flopping and stuff like that. I'll explain in a second here, kind of my thoughts on that. But that's not the reason why the Wolves lost that game. The reason why the Wolves lost the game is they didn't hit their open shots, and they let the whole SGA flopping thing get in their mental. But I will say it was absolutely, positively frustrating and just egregious, some of these calls that were there with shaigilgeousalexander. Dang it, I did the whole thing. Sorry. SGA.
I'm just trying to save everybody's back here because Nikhil Alexander-Walker, Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, there's this it's just too much. It's a mouthful. It's confusing.
Yeah. So, Voldy, let's start with you on this whole the whole flopping with SGA. I know I've sent some stuff. I know you've seen the videos and such. I mean, I blame the NBA a good amount and the referees, and I blame Shai. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts on this whole deal with Shai or SGA?
I mean, this is the way basketball is nowadays. You've got kids coming up nowadays that don't know how to play hard physical basketball and are just looking for any sort of way to get themselves to the free throw line, and by flopping left and right. I mean, the fact that you can't get guys that want to get down into the post, take contact, and finish through, as opposed to, in the case of SGA, anytime a guy is near him and gets a little zesty with it and ultimately starts flopping, that works to his advantage, I guess, in that respect. And it's frustrating because, of course, I'm going to be the old man yelling at the sky momentarily here. It's just not the way basketball used to be. A guy could go down in the post, drive hard into the paint, and go for a layup, and he'd get his, for lack of a better term, get his shit rocked. And it would draw attention from teammates, and it would be good, and fans would be appreciative. That is far long gone. Now you've got kids in AAU ball that don't know how to set a screen, or you've got kids coming up here playing high school basketball that shoot nothing but threes, and that's just the fact of the way basketball is nowadays. And the fact you give the MVP to a guy in SGA that is probably one of the best floppers in the league really sets the tone of the NBA, saying this is the new direction that we're going, and it is not going to be good for the future of basketball. In relation to now the Timberwolves, he had his best acting performance, I feel, in my mind, with the way that he was able to get to the free throw line, and he took full advantage. He finished 11 of 14 from the free throw line, and he made the Timberwolves pay. Hats off to him, and that's why he's the MVP. Now, getting back to reality here, the fact that the Timberwolves put up 51 attempts from three-point range and made as many three-pointers as they did free throws is ridiculous. I know desperation is a certain thing, but if it ain't working, it ain't working. And the fact that more than half of your points came from three-point range and you only shot 34% from the field, not a good sign there for the Timberwolves. I know that it was a long layoff there with the break and everything, but back to SGA, I mean, it worked out, and Timberwolves are going to have to find a way to neutralize him, and they're going to have to find a way to get him down quickly.
So, a couple things. I've had zoners throw some comments our way and their thoughts on this. And then, so Anthony Barron's tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. It's really hard to win games when SGA drives to the hoop untouched and still gets a foul call. Yep. Refs gotta be more aware. 14 free throws. Sports are rigged. So Anthony's right on every point here. The thing that frustrated me the most is that SGA was being guarded by, I think it was Na, and his cousin, obviously, and he was playing good defense, no illegal contact or anything, But then SGA is trying to go down into the lane like he usually does. The dude tripped over his own freaking foot, and they called a foul. Are you kidding me? I know it got reversed, okay? Before people are like, well, it got reversed. Yeah, it did get reversed. But the fact that they called a foul in the first place is absolutely, positively absurd. That just is going to spark more of the conspiracy theories about how the NBA is rigged and, things like that. And this guy's getting all the attempts in the world. This makes no sense. And it's not just against the Timberwolves. Look at almost every game that he's played, and you can see it was against probably Golden State. It was against Denver. I mean, he does this all the time, and the refs give it to him, which is frustrating in itself. Our guy, J-Man, Jared Doyle, says this. He's very quickly becoming my least favorite player. Nothing against him as a person. I'm just sick of that style of play. It's cheap and degrades the NBA even more than people already were. It's not good for the league, and I don't know why they're propping him up so much. Hold on one sec. Give me a second. When I saw that, I asked him, I said, can I use this for the show? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. I think J-Man is spot on here. Look, I don't really, the thing is, I don't really know the guy well enough, SGA well enough to make a determination on what he's been. But this isn't the basketball that have been accustomed to see. Yes, there's going to be contact. Jordan would get pummeled by bad boy Pistons and other teams after that. And it's just, this league has become so soft in how they call fouls. And the most frustrating thing is that he's become so unlikable with this, and the NBA is just almost already labeling him as the face of the league. And it's like, well, Ant didn't want to be the face of the league, and people are all upset about it. It's like, look, he's being Anthony Edwards. He's not trying to be anybody else. And they're just like, well, we'll just have SGA be the face of the NBA. It's like, and then the NBA is like, yeah, make sure, he gets his points. He's gonna get our guy. The NBA should be ashamed of themselves. The referees should be ashamed of themselves as well. As you could see in that game last night, I wouldn't say the Wolves got screwed, but I will say that this is becoming a big problem. This has been a topic since last night, and he gets away with it game after game, game after game, and it's probably going to continue. But let me throw this out there too. The Wolves let it get to them. That's the problem in all of this. The Wolves let it get to them. Right at the beginning, Ant got mad. He threw the ball at SGA, and he gets attacked. Of course. I mean, if it was SGA, they'd be like, oh, he was just trying to give him the ball, and whatnot. You see, this is what the problem is. This is not fair to anybody. And to crown this guy and say, this is going to be the guy. We want the Thunder to win because he is our breadwinner and he'll be the face of the league. Yep. You should be ashamed of yourselves. NBA, the frickin' NBA referees, and especially SGA. That is not how basketball should be played. And to lean into somebody when he wasn't touched, especially Jaden McDaniels last night, apparently putting out your foot when SGA even missed. He missed, putting any contact on Jaden McDaniels. And apparently that's a foul for Jaden McDaniels playing good defense, not even touching Shai, and it's a foul. This is absolutely, positively a sham. You cannot tell me that this is not rigged, just not at all. Oh, it's not rigged, the refs just kind of called it as they see. Come on. You guys have been trained to do this. Now, maybe someone's got to do an investigation on the NBA. Who knows? I don't know. Look, I will say that this isn't the reason the Wolves lost, but I will say that something needs to change in the offseason nonetheless, because this young man cannot keep getting away with this. If Anthony Edwards is getting hacked when he's going down the lane like he did last night, and they do nothing about it, that's a problem. That is a big, big problem. And the fact of the matter is, people are still going to comment on it, and Finchie's going to send it to the NBA, and more teams have probably done so already. This is not the style of basketball anyone's accustomed to and no one likes. So why are you letting this young man do this? This is absolutely, positively absurd. Stop with the shit. Figure it out. But let me go back to the Wolves from a basketball perspective here. Look, this is going to happen. Adam Silver's not going to go on a podium and say, okay, we're going to change this because this is getting ridiculous. No, this has to come down to Finchie going to the guys, and I know he's already talked with them about this because Finchie's the one that kind of, was outspoken about it. So it's frustrating to play this team because you can't touch Shai. Can't do it. Nope, that's a foul. Touch him, you breathe on him, foul. So Finch has got to go to the guys and say, guys, we let this get to us. Even when we talked about this before the series, that you're not going to get the call. Now, here's the deal. The Wolves played really good defense in the first half on him. He didn't get much. At the beginning, he got a lot of free throw attempts. He had 7 within, 4 minutes. Come on. This is just, it's silly. And they... and the Wolves have to realize, look, you keep complaining about the more they're not going to give you that. Now, the Wolves stopped fouling, and they played a lot of good defense. Jaden McDaniels had a nice block on SGA and everything. But what it came down to is that they let it get to them. And that's why, and that's another part of why they lost, is they let that whole thing, SGA flopping thing, get to them. Now, I'm not going to sit here and, talk about how, that's why they got screwed and everything. It's because they did it to themselves by not making those open shots. So that's what it came down to. Looking ahead to Game 2, Voldy, and we'll move on to the NFL meeting here, and where are they now? Looking up to Thursday, I mean, obviously every game's a big game now, with the Western Conference Finals and whatnot. Wolves down 1-0. And they play tomorrow at 7:30, or they'll probably tip off at 7:50. Let's be honest. But, going into this game, I just think, the keys of this are, A, don't let the whole flopping thing get to you. Keep playing. You guys are way more talented than what you showed last night or on Tuesday, and make those open shots. You guys, I mean, Dante DiVincenzo is supposed to be the three-point specialist, supposed to be knocking that down. Our tribal chief, we love our tribal chief. Don't get me wrong. Naz, our tribal chief. Naz Reid, knock down those shots. Get it done, man. We need you to hit those shots too. So if those guys can do it, and Ant can have a big burst of, offense and whatnot, including Julius, they should be fine. Anything you wanted to add to this upcoming game, Voldy?
No, I think the Timberwolves have been well used to getting, kind of smacked in the mouth in Game 1. Happened against, the Lakers. That they got kind of pushed around a little bit. Happened in the last series as well. To get to this point, you would just feel that the Timberwolves would feel a little bit more comfortable if they would have gotten off to a better start against a very young and hungry team. I think just cleaning up a lot, and and somebody's going to have to be a guy to step up, because of course last year they had Cat and they had the combination that they did to go with on top of Anthony Edwards and Gobert and Naz Reid coming off the bench. But now a lot of the offense has been predicated towards Anthony Edwards, and he goes down. Everybody's just looking around like, okay, how are we going to get through this one? Seeing Julius Randle kind of step up was nice, but a little bit more cohesiveness, at least getting the ball, shooting from the field as opposed for settling for threes, is going to be a big difference in this contest coming up here for game 2.
Couple other things to add real quick. One, I don't know why the Wolves keep continuing to do this, but why in the world is it a good idea to have Rudy get the ball at the free throw line and try to dribble his way down into the basket? Dante DiVincenzo did that 3 times last night to give it to Rudy to have him to go to the basket. And it's like, this isn't going to work. Rudy is not well coordinated with that. It's just, it's frustrating.
He's too French.
He's too French. He's too French. Oh my God. I mean, Doris Burke in the broadcast was like, it's like, that's why people on social media call him the free throw merchant. So I was scrolling through Twitter, and shout out to Ron Johnson, by the way. He does a great job with Vikings Game Day and other
Love
things
Ron
like
Johnson.
that.
He's great.
Great guy. He tweeted, and I'll just let me just quick grab it here because I got it. So he says, #Timberwolves. You have a few days to get them. Free throw merchant shirts should be worn by all. They should get that. That would be awesome. And you know what? I think that would pump up the Wolves a little bit when they come back to Target Center to take on the Thunder. And they would say, nah, you're not going to do this to us again. We're going to call you out on your BS. So I'm looking forward to that. Anthony had something for us before we move on to our next one here. Wolves should split the minutes between Na and Clark. Yes. One other thing that I will mention, and I'll finish the rest. Jalen Clark played well when he was in. He was defending. He was getting rebounds. He had a nice putback on a missed shot. I think he needs to play more. Wherever SGA is, they need to be on him, and he did a good job against SGA. Granted, Clark lacks offensive ability. He is still a great defender and has already proven to down SGA. I think that is a great point, and I think they need to do that. I think Jaden McDaniels, we know how good defensively he is, but I just think he let SGA, those fouls get to him last night. And that's why he fouled out. And we need him. We need him to be an offensive force for the Timberwolves. So I think that'll change here tomorrow. And I expect them. I'm going to say this. Or slow down. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, my bad. It's already proven to slow down SGA is what he said. But it's one of those things where it's like they can beat this team. They're not that good. I don't think they're as good as people are making them out to be, but they're young too. The Wolves can take advantage of that, and I think they will. I think they're going to win game 2. I'm going to put it down. I'm putting it down. I think Wolves win game 2. Shut up some of the critics that think, oh, this one's over in 5. Stephen A. Smith. Just saying. But, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting series, that's to say. And it still could be Wolves in 5. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. So I'm not going to put that on anybody. We both said Wolves in 7. We're going to stick with that, hopefully. So, all right, that'll do it for Wolves Talk. And again, if you guys want to throw in any other, discussion topic or like what your thoughts on this whole thing is, too, feel free. We can transition over quickly. So the NFL owners meeting, we're in Minneapolis. these past few days. I just wanted to talk a little bit about. We'll save the tush push thing for last. I just wanted to take a look at some of the things that they were considering, and I wish there's the envelope and you just pushed it.
Push.
And there's a couple.
The Chaser.
The Chaser. Zip it. The Chaser. The playoff format it will not be changing. The Detroit Lions were the ones that had the proposal about,
and they pulled it back.
And they pulled it back. I don't know why they did that.
Messed up, Detroit.
So, I think they were on to something there a little bit, but apparently this would have been the end of, like, winning the division doesn't matter for the playoffs and things like that. And I get that, but, I could see it go both ways. They took it back and they just said, what, forget it. They thought this isn't going to get passed. And I doubted it too. I just think that they're very set in how it is now, even though I still think that there shouldn't be an extra team in there. But that's just me.
Nope.
It doesn't surprise me. Would I like the seating with that? A little bit, but I think there's a way you can have those. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I think trying to change it, and especially with how the owners are and how they like to not change things as much as they want to and whatnot. I just didn't. I don't see this getting through anyways. So, Voldy, are you under the same impression as well?
Yeah, I mean, I can see it from the standpoint, of course, the year that the Vikings and the Lions had, where they were just back and forth, 14 wins for the Vikings, and ultimately ending up as they were the 5 seed or the 6 seed or something like that. That ultimately does stink, but I'm just more of the standpoint, I can see how, obviously, taking the importance of winning the division out of it is something that is a bit of a misnomer and definitely would affect that. But ultimately, the thing that pisses me off more is that you could win the division, but yet you could ultimately not even make it, past the first round of the playoffs. That's one thing that has always been very curious. It's like, yeah, but we won the division, yet we don't get, any sort of, assurance that we're going to host a playoff game. Like, we win the division, but we're playing on the road or something like that. I feel like if you won the division, you should at least get a home game or something out of it. Then that opens up then more teams need to make the playoffs. Then we start looking at, maybe the 4 division winners get first round buys or something like that. And that would just open a whole nother can of worms. I understand where not changing the format is, but how many times are we going to see, especially the year that we had last year, where 2 teams with 13, 14, 15 wins were battling it out in one division? I mean, that hardly ever happens. I don't know how many times it's happened in the past, but the fact that the Vikings had 14 wins and didn't even win the division is a wild notion to ever think of.
So yeah, I mean it would be tough to figure that out, but apparently they're saying too that Goodell, he said he's got, public support of maybe doing a reseeded thing, but I don't know. I think they gotta come up with something a little bit more to figure that out. Mm-hmm. So the next thing I quick want to talk about is, we'll talk about the Olympics one in a second, or for ARA, so we'll wait on that, but. Apparently there's some teams that had ideas of trying to, with the officiating, making changes and things like that. But there was one that they were talking about the onside kicks. Onside kicks now have been changed where the team, the current rule was a team can only attempt an onside kick in the 4th quarter, and even then, they can only attempt it if they are trailing. So now the new one that has been approved is a team could declare an onside kick at any point in a game as long as they are trailing. This proposal will also allow players on the kicking team to line up 1 yard closer, which would give them a better chance to recover an onside kick, which, ups the drama and whatnot. So I don't got a problem with this one. I think it makes it interesting. I just don't think that, that older rule just didn't make sense and was kind of dumb in itself because, I mean, how many onside kicks were, good last year? Not a whole lot, but
very few, if any.
Very few. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, having the onside kick was always a nice tool to have in the back pocket. And as soon as the NFL took that away, it did not do anybody a lot of favors. And I certainly am one to always vote in favor of the onside kick because, especially the old, 3-4 years ago, of course, we're talking the olden days of football now, you never knew. It could happen. It could happen at any point, even when even when everybody knew it was going to happen, you just never know. The ball could bounce a certain way, and more times than not, it was not a favorable outcome for whoever was doing the onside kick. But at least trying to bring that back and maybe make a couple of tweaks to where it's going to be more favorable for the team doing the onside kick. At least that's something that now teams have back again, as opposed to like, well, I guess we're SOL here. We got to wait till we're down 10 points late in the fourth quarter before we could make any sort of, attempt at an onside kick and just try to win it the old-fashioned way. But, sometimes the team needs a bit of a spark, and sometimes that is the way to go with a onside kick. But, at least getting things lined up back the right way. I definitely like seeing that being brought back in.
Yeah. All right. Well, the big news out of the whole meetings is the tush push. It is not going anywhere. I'll quick do this, and then we'll go to where are they now. I am under the belief, and you can rip on me if you want. It doesn't matter. I don't really care, nonetheless. But this is what I'm going to say about that whole thing is. I think that there are teams that just don't want to have to try and stop. It's like, oh, it's unstoppable and everything. It's been stopped before. Now, to an extent, is it pretty much automatic? Yeah, I would put it like that, but I think there are ways to beat that. And I think one of those ways is to have big offensive linemen, have as much as you can in that middle, and who knows, they might even do play action out of it, and, it could be a problem there. But you got to stack as many guys and trust that your D-line and maybe some linebackers can, get back there. And I think the Packers, and I know there were other teams that weren't in favor of it, that were, thinking to ban it as well. But the Packers, I just think, it's always something with them. It's like, it's not fair. We can't do it. Well, you need to add more tough guys to your line in order to stop them. The Eagles have a really good offensive line, and they do this effectively. Now, there has to be a point in time where you were able to stop it, and I think there's going to be coaches and players that are going to look at this play and say, I think we can stop this if we try this. It's just they have to keep trying things, and if they stop it, then maybe this whole thing dies. So I'm fine with it staying around. I just think that Packers and other teams need to realize other teams do it too. Just saying. That's kind of my thought on it. But as we welcome Tate to the show. Hey, Tate. Yes, sir. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts? What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a problem. I never really had a problem with the tush push to begin with. the fact that it was the Eagles is a bit of if it was any other team, I had zero problem with it. It's the Eagles, and of course they just won the Super Bowl. It's kind of annoying that we're still continuing to talk about this and just how that everyone is able, or how they're able just to succeed on it almost every time, if not all the time. Of course, the play during the NFC Championship game where Frankie Louvu was trying to time it up just right and jump the snap to stop the tush push, and the refs are just like, look, if this continues, we're just going to award the touchdown and be done with it. You started to see at least the opportunity for teams to maybe find a way to stop it, or at least try to come up with something. And now we're at a point where it could very well be that way in the next year or so, or maybe even this season, teams find a way to beat the tush push if it comes their direction. And I've never had a problem with it. And the fact that teams did have a problem with it, I think they're just trying to get ahead of the curve in that regard. And I don't have a real particular problem with it overall. And, banning it, then it's just going to be like, okay, to which degree do we start banning other potential plays, with it being quarterback sneak, or even just trying to run the ball in tight, or a tight end sneaking the football and pushing guys through the line of scrimmage? Or do we start allowing defensive players to start pushing again? Where do we draw the line at that point? Because I feel that if we ban the tush push, it's just going to open up another can of worms of how things could just go much further downhill from that point.
So, what do you guys think, zoners? Do you like that it's still around? Do you not like it? Let us know in the comments. So, that being said, that'll do it for Hot Take. A lot to go over, a lot to talk about. Where are they now? We got a awesome set for you. Samcassell and one Gophers legend, Laurencemaroney. Yes, sir. Let's get it going with... Where'd they go? Where are they? Where'd they go? Where are they now? Find them. There.
Check your milk carton. It's time for Where Are They Now?
All right, it is time for Where Are They Now? And as you can see, Laurencemaroney. Yes, Laurencemaroney. And we also have, Case, exactly. We got Samcassell as well. So, Voldy, would you like to start off with our guy, Laurencemaroney?
Absolutely, I would love to, because, I was really thinking of this guy because, it's not too often the Patriots do come to Minnesota, and just so happens this year, the Patriots do come to Minnesota August 16th, which will be a preseason game for the Vikings against the New England Patriots down at US Bank Stadium. I would certainly like to go. We'll see what the future may hold in that regard. But Laurencemaroney, of course, not a Minnesota native, didn't play for the Vikings, but left an impact enough for probably one of the best running back duos in college football, if not in history. Certainly talked about in respects when it comes to Big Ten running backs overall. He played at the University of Minnesota, of course, in the running back department, sharing carries as well with Marion Barber III, the late great Marion Barber III, and also with Gary Russell in his time. He started only 14 of 36 games in his career, but did become the first Gopher and the third Big Ten Conference rusher to have 1,000 yards in his first 3 seasons. Not too shabby for a guy out of St. Louis. Of course, with those regards, and of course the performance he put up in his time with the University of Minnesota, did garner attention at the next level. Coming out early after his junior year, it was that Laurencemaroney did get drafted in the first round by the New England Patriots, 21st overall, the second running back taken behind Reggie Bush. Now, New England did have a little bit of a problem at that point. They still had Corey Dillon as their main featured running back. But of course, never hurts to bring in a young guy to see what he has in store. Now, with Maroney getting into the mix for New England. This was a very interesting time between 2006 to 2009, his tenure with New England. These are quote unquote the dark times of New England football because you throw in the excitement and the hoopla that was 2001, 2003, 2004. The first three Super Bowls under the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era with the original dynasty for the Patriots. Now, after 2007, of course, Super Bowl 41, or excuse me, no, Super Bowl 42, that ultimately was a loss for the New England Patriots after their undefeated regular season and part of the greatest offenses of all time in NFL history. New England could not really muster much of anything when it came to playoff success long term. Now, for Maroney, he certainly was he wasn't just a passerby. Now, in the 2007 season, the Patriots did let go they did let go Corey Dillon, and Maroney was the guy. Rushed for just under 1,000 yards as part of the 2007 regular season that was undefeated and was still a big factor in the playoffs leading up to that Super Bowl against New England. Did have 1 yard touchdown score. Ultimately did not really matter as the Patriots would go on to lose. Now, he did battle through a couple injuries early on. In 2008, then 2009, he finished just under 7,500 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns, but a minuscule just under 4 yards per carry in his time. Now, after 2009, it was the start of the 2010 season that he was ultimately traded to the Denver Broncos at that point, which ended up being a swap for picks at that point for Maroney to head to Denver. His time in Denver did not really pan out all that much, as he also battled some issues off the field for him with some weapons issues. But still not a bad career for Lawrence Maroney. 5 total seasons for New England. Did end up leading the team and also was a consistent factor overall in the rushing attack. And kind of a forgotten player in that magical run that they did have in 2007. But now you look at what happens off the field and a lot of things post-career for NFL players. You run into, players, or maybe you see reports of players that struggle financially with keeping themselves financially stable, or maybe even battling through mental health issues. Well, through the Lawrence Maroney Foundation that he has been a part of, the LM39 Foundation, he has been founder and chairman of this for a number of years, and was also providing, of course, mental health and financial literacy help for athletes post-career as well, to help for the Life After Sports initiative, as this is something that's been quite paramount for him, saying that he has been able to kind of reinvent himself a little bit, because after his career ended in 2012, he had a set amount of money, up to $8 million in contracts he had earned, but once that dried up, by 2014, he was sleeping on his mom's couch at that point and had to basically start all over from that point. And of course, having to deal with getting things back on track, getting a little bit of some help thanks to disability payments from the NFL with the concussion settlements that did take place. The LM39 Foundation has been able to host a number of events to help support local youth and, of course, help athletes post-career and find ways to keep themselves quite relevant. So really, that the player on the field that we saw from Lawrence Maroney is just, one chapter in the life for Lawrence Maroney, and now finding another way to keep himself well in the mix, of course, with, being part of the athletic world, but in a different way, with helping and assisting with financial literacy for athletes off the field, and of course now with mental health services that are a part of the LM39 Foundation. So certainly Lawrence Maroney has kept himself quite busy since his days in New England, and certainly would like to hear about some of those stories that he might have had with his time at the Patriots. But looks like things are going all right for Lawrence Maroney after a few rough times in those times with New England, and of course post-career as well.
Really interesting too, because especially life after your NFL career, it's like, where do you go from here and things like that. Looks like he got help. He got some tough love from the law firm, Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, apparently. So that's your guy. That's your guy right there.
Yes, sir.
And he was so good at Minnesota. He was so good. Him and Marion Barber, I mean, they just were terrors and whatnot. And I think Voldy, correct me if I'm wrong, but he showed up to a Gophers game, if I'm not mistaken, this past year. I think we saw it on social and whatnot. He was there, and he was in good spirits and seems to be doing well. So,
I know our guy Troy Stoudemire was there this season.
Yes, sir. Yes, he was. So glad he had a great time and whatnot, it seems like. And LaurenceMaroney, a legend, forever a legend for Minnesota football and into the NFL too. He was very successful there. All right. Great job with LaurenceMaroney, Voldy. Let's move on to Sam Cassell. I think this is quite fitting. The reason why I think it's quite fitting is because obviously the Wolves, they're in the Western Conference Finals, and we had a guy that was also in the Western Conference Finals for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So let's take a look at quickly of the year or the previous years, and then go into when he was a Timberwolf. Sam Cassell, he played basketball at Florida State for a little bit, his junior and senior years. And his senior year in 1992-93 averaged 18 points per game, almost 5 assists per game, and 4 rebounds per game as well. Led the ACC in steals. He was a master at stealing the basketball, and he was probably one of the top players in the college basketball. And the Seminoles also had a 25-10 record and went to the Elite Eight, only to lose to who? Those Kentucky Wildcats. So they're usually good, and unfortunately they couldn't go from there. But jumping forward, on February 14th in 2008, his jersey was retired at Florida State. So good for him. Happy for Sam Cassell to get that honor and whatnot. His playing career, he played a couple years for the Houston Rockets. He actually helped the Rockets reach the NBA Finals for the second consecutive year. And in Game 2 against the Magic, Voldy, 31 points. So that's pretty good for a guy that's going to championships and whatnot. The Rockets, unfortunately, the next season were swept out of the second round against the Seattle Supersonics, and then it just kind of went from there. So, from Houston to Phoenix, he got traded after the 95-96 season. He got traded along with Robert Horry, a guy that was around for a while.
Big Shot Bob.
That's right. You got it. And Chucky Brown, Mark Bryant, in exchange for former league MVP, hey, Chuck, Charles Barkley. Yes. So he apparently this wasn't good for Sam Cassell. He did not like the head coach, Cotton Fitzsimmons. He apparently resigned after an 0-8 start, so there you go. And, but after that, they started to play a lot better, and Danny Ainge, who is now the Boston GM, right, as well. So, they had an improved season after Fitzsimmons resigned. So, well, unfortunately, he gets traded again to the Dallas Mavericks for the 96-97 season. Trade along with Michael Finley, A.C. Green, and in exchange for a second-round draft pick, in exchange for Jason Kidd, Tony Dumas, and Lauren Meyer. Cassell developed, some chemistry with the Suns, but then he gets traded, and they wanted to get Jason Kidd, so they made it happen. He was traded again, so he was traded a lot. I mean, as you can tell, he traded again to the New Jersey Nets. I won't give all the names because it's just we don't need to do that. And he was there for a couple years, so he was there for a little bit. Following that season, though, he was considering going back to Houston, but he wanted to re-sign with the Nets on a 6-year contract, forming one of the best backcourts with a guy that I have not heard his name in a long time. Kerry Kittles. I remember him. I used to play, was it 90? I played on the N64. It was like NBA something. I can't remember. But I remember playing against or playing as the Nets. And Cassell was really good. Averaged 19 points per game, 8 assists per game, and one steal per game. So that's pretty good. So they went to the playoffs first time 4 years. Mm-hmm. However, first round, who do they get swept by? MJ and the Bulls. Surprise, surprise. So apparently, Cassell was going to re-sign again after his contract was up. The Nets were favorites in the Eastern Conference. They had a lockout-shortened season, but Sam Cassell actually sustained an injury in the first game of the season, and the Nets started 3-15, so not great. So from 99 to 2003, by the way, Sam Cassell was traded again. The Bucks ended up getting him, and sent Stephon Marbury, our guy, former Wolf, to the Nets, and Terrell Brandon actually coming to the Wolves, and Cassell gets Bucks. Now they have George Karl as head coach. They had a big three: Ray Allen, Glenn Robinson, and Cassell. He led, in his first game, he had 35 points, which is pretty good for your first game and whatnot, so which is very impressive. He played a lot of games for the Bucks, and I think a lot of people remember him playing with the Bucks and whatnot, and he was very good. He surpassed 10,000 points in his career, and he had one of the best games of his career. Had a triple-double, 39 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and double overtime victory against the Cavs. So, it's very interesting to see how this all turns out. Now, we go to Minnesota, so it's about time, right? Spent all the seasons with the Bucks, and then he gets traded to who? The Minnesota Timberwolves. Him and Irvin Johnson in exchange for Joe Smith, highly touted Joe Smith, didn't work out, and Anthony Peeler. So as a Wolf, he had the best individual season that year. 19 points per game on 49% shooting, which is very good. 7 assists per game, 1 steal per game. And he was on a team with Latrell Sprewell and who? KG, baby. That's right. And he was voted to the All-Star game as well. He was All-NBA second team and whatnot. And they were kind of they had their own big three at that time. And they took down the, they were able to get to the Western Conference Finals and have a franchise best record, 58-24, which is amazing in itself. He actually set a playoff record with 40 points in first round game 1 win against the Nuggets. They won the series in 5. And, they were able to do that, beat the Kings in 7, so on and so forth. But, unfortunately, the Wolves lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Lakers after Sam Cassell sustained a back injury in the Western Conference Finals, and Lakers won in 6, which sucks. But the following year, unfortunately, the Wolves finished 44-38. They missed the playoffs by 1 game, and Cassell only appeared in 59 games, and he had a lot of injuries. he voiced his frustration over the midseason firing of our guy, Flip Saunders, and not being offered a contract extension. So his time in Minnesota kind of came to an abrupt end. He was traded to the Clippers. He played there for 3 years, and had some good times there and whatnot, and just kind of was chilling with the Clippers for a little bit. Went to the Celtics in 2008 and 2009, so he was a Celtic at one point, Voldy. And,
NBA champion.
That's right. He was an NBA champion for the Celtics and whatnot. And
he's on the list.
He's on the list. That's all that matters. And, during that season, too, he was an unofficial assistant to Doc Rivers. And he didn't play in many games, but he was still listed as a active player. So after that,
he was Juwan Howard before Juwan Howard.
Yes, that's right. That's a very good point there. So he opted to just retire in May 2009. He had an offer there and whatnot. But where is he now? Well, I think you've been seeing him on the sidelines. Yes, on the sidelines. His coaching career, he was with the Washington Wizards, 2009 to 2014, and he was he joined Flip Saunders with that team as well. They got John Wall. They had some very good, seasons. They just never really got to the finals and whatnot. He also actually signed Paul Pierce to the Wizards. I forgot that Paul Pierce went to the Wizards for a little bit and whatnot.
Yes, he did.
Then after 2014, where does Sam Cassell go? He goes to the Los Angeles Clippers. Joined Doc Rivers as assistant coach. Then on November 2020, he goes to the Sixers. Joins Doc Rivers again in Philadelphia. And now he is with who? The Boston Celtics. Yes, on June 2023, he was hired as an assistant coach under Joe Mazzulla. He won his 4th NBA championship when the Celtics beat the Mavericks last year in the 2024 NBA Finals.
Missouri.
It was Cassell's first championship as coach. So, Sam Cassell was one heck of a player for the Timberwolves nonetheless, since we have the Minnesota thing drawn to it. He won a couple NBA Finals championships and whatnot. But the one thing I will always remember, and I didn't understand this because I was pretty young at that point, but I figured it out soon later on. His celebration, I think it was during the playoffs, when he took his hands and he put them towards his, let's just say, his parts, and was running, saying he's got big balls.
Big balls.
That, it will be the funniest thing I think any of us will ever see with Sam Cassell. It's so good. It's so funny. But, yeah, that's where he is now. He's doing great with the Celtics. Unfortunately, they are out of the playoffs, but injuries, Tatum, the whole deal. So, yeah, Sam Cassell, former Wolf, did great, and then just kind of abruptly ended because things fell apart. So, yeah, sucks. But, yeah, that's going to do it with Where Are They Now? This time around, we had some good ones. Laurencemaroney. Here we go. We got Sam Cassell, Laurencemaroney, 2 Minnesota. I would say Maroney's more of a legend. Sam Cassell was, he was good when he was here. It was great. So,
I wonder how many guys in the NBA have won championships as a player, and whether as a head coach or as like an assistant coach. I feel like that's a pretty lengthy list, but it could be a lot shorter than we think it is. Because,
yes,
guys that come to mind, Bill Russell, Phil Jackson, Pat Riley win one as a player. I think
he did, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he.
Yes.
Could
with
be,
the
but yeah,
Lakers,
I mean,
right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I think.
Well,
but obviously, he's won one as a player, as a coach, and as a GM as well with the Heat. But yeah, I wonder what that list looks like. I'm sure there's a list out there of guys that have won championships as a player and as a coach. So
yeah, We will take a look at some point here. So, with that being said, we got a lot to go for ARA. Brock Purdy signs a big extension. We've got the NFL okayed for NFL players okayed for the 2028 Olympic flag football Olympics, and Skenes to pitch for USA in the 2026 World Baseball Classic. Great news. And prosvsjoes back. Voldy will quick talk about that. And to round things off, the P.O.D. Olympics? Question marks. Roids.
Break
back.
out the roids.
Oh my goodness! So
Somebody call Barry Bonds. We're doing it, folks.
Where's Mark McGuire?
Where's Jose Canseco?
The list goes on. The list goes on. So let's get it going with some absurd or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, just a quick update, too, since there is the Eastern Conference happening, Eastern Conference Finals. Bodega Cat just got fouled. He is going to the line. And 63-59, the Knicks have the lead in, second quarter, 1 minute left. So we'll see how that turns out. Bodega Cat, we not saying it will happen, but we could see Bodega Cat again in the finals.
Quick update as well. Western Conference Finals in the Stanley Cup playoffs as well. Edmonton, Dallas after 1. Score is 1-1, believe it or not. That's going to be quite the series in that
yes.
one. Yeah, that'll be quite interesting in the long run.
Can't wait. And we can't wait to see how it turns out. So let's get it going with absurd or proof. So Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, it is official as Mr. Irrelevant is no longer irrelevant as Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers did come to a 5-year, $265 million contract, which includes $181 million in overall guaranteed money. Not bad for a guy that was the last pick in the 2022 NFL draft. Stop me if you've heard that before. He's just made over $2.5 million in his first 3 NFL seasons, but now we'll have an average salary of $53 million, which means he'll be getting paid more per week under his new deal than he did over the last 3 seasons combined. Now, of course, this does come off the heels, of course, a bit of a down season for the San Francisco 49ers, injury prone after a Super Bowl appearance the year prior, and of course, been quite active and a big factor in the playoff picture in the NFC after a rough year that they had last year. Now, with a 5-year extension worth $265 million in money towards Brock Purdy, now assuring himself as being the guy in San Francisco. Is it absurd or approved? Will Brock Purdy deliver a Super Bowl championship through the time of his extension?
Oh, well, if you ask Matt Fowler and or Coach Payne, they would say yes, in fact.
Would they, though? Would they?
Well, Coach Payne would.
I
know that. You'd be like, oh, Shield, listen, I'm thinking Niners, Super Bowl again. You know how it's going to go. Shout out Coach Payne. That's a tough question. But what I will say real quick is that, I wasn't all in on the Purdy train for a little bit. When it started off, I just feel like he's going to fall off a little bit. But he has not. So I give him a lot of credit, and, I've been wrong before, and he's been very solid. I think that kind of changed when I saw kind of how he played from that stretch, getting them to the Super Bowl. And he has done a phenomenal job. He's very accurate, very mobile. He's smart with his passes, but I think last year was tough because – man, there were a lot of injuries, not only on the offense, but the defense. The Niners just didn't really have the same Niners mojo like they had in previous years. But it's a 5-year extension, and he's getting a lot of money, which is good. Good for him. He's not Mr. Irrelevant. He is Mr. Moneyman, a.k.a.
Straight cash, homie.
Straight cash, homie. I'm going to say no. And the reason why I say no, it's not going to be because of him, but let's not forget the 49ers got rid of a lot of weapons. They had Debo. He's gone.
Bye-bye.
He went bye-bye. The defense lost a plethora of guys. I mean, Hargrave's on our team now, the Vikings, and now we've got, I think, what's that guy, the Hofunga or something? The safety. Hyafunga, yeah. Yep. He's gone. And then a couple corners are gone. Like, a lot of that defense is gone. Besides Fred Warner, who also got an extension. I think it was like a 3-year deal or something. But I just think that they're going to have to really build this team. Now, are they going to be Super Bowl caliber this season? I doubt it. But I just think that they need to add more weapons, especially with McCaffrey being injured literally the whole season. I mean, he came back and wasn't as effective. You never know, because he's had healthy seasons. He's just had seasons where he's always injured. So I'm gonna say no. I'd say it's absurd, just because I don't know. I don't know how they come back from this. I don't know what kind of trades they have to make to add more depth to the team. Ricky Pearsall's a good wide receiver. I think he's up and coming. He'll do well. Ayuk.
Is he elite, though?
Is he elite? Not yet. Will he be elite? That remains to be seen.
Who knows?
So Ayuk really has to shoulder the load now, because they almost didn't get that done with him. He's got to show up and really play well for them. So,
and he's coming off an ACL surgery too.
That is right. That is a good point. So, yeah, I'm going to say absurd. Voldy, what do you got?
Yeah, 5 years is a lot of time that things could work out well, or things could go south very quickly for this organization, especially with Shanahan and for John Lynch, that are looking at the big picture. Of course, they've made some moves. They've kind of retooled a few things, and if it's a rebuild or a retool, we'll certainly see. Of course, losing Debo is certainly something that is glaring, but when you look at the mix, they also lost Jordan Mason, so their two main backs out of the backfield are going to be gone, are gone now. So they're going to have to figure out the running back spot. Their offensive line's not getting any younger, especially with Trent Williams on the left side. George Kittle's coming off an injured season also. Ayuk is coming back from an ACL surgery. Ricky Pearsall got shot before the season, and he's coming back, of course, to be a major factor. Of course, you got Jawan Jennings in the mix too. It's going to be interesting. Defense lost a lot of guys. You still got Fred Warner, but you got to build another 10 guys around him to be effective. Is Brock Purdy going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback? I'm going to say no. I think it's absurd. I feel like they'll certainly be in the mix. They'll have a couple of deep playoff runs, but will they get over that hump? I do not see it in the stretch of 5 years, because Philadelphia is still good. Who knows what the Commanders are going to be like? Dallas's coin flip that usually lands on the bottom side and not the good side each and every season. Who knows what's happening everywhere else in the NFC? You've got Detroit. You've got Chicago could be a surprise. Green Bay is always somebody worth consideration. Us and the Vikings, of course, are always up for conversation, especially with the young quarterback that we've got this time around. There's a lot of questions in the NFC. It's very log-jammed for sure. And that's very good to see, especially because, usually they're talking the other side with the AFC being so log-jammed with potential Super Bowl contenders to come out of that conference. But I don't see a Super Bowl coming to Brock Purdy in his time in San Francisco.
Yeah, I just think they've lost a lot, and they really have to rebuild this team in order to get back to where they want to go. But I've been proven wrong before, so that wouldn't surprise me. Next one, Voldy.
Well, we head to the world of the NFL. Stay in the NFL, as, of course, NFL owners' meetings were taking place in Minneapolis, and a vote was held for their spring league meeting on Tuesday, which announced unanimously of course, according to sources, that NFL players will be allowed to participate in flag football for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. Of course, this has been something that has been talked about since the NFL has been, trying to put their stake into the flag football game with, of course, the Olympics being held in Los Angeles for 2028. That Super Bowl commercial coming out with Jalen Hurts being kind of the flag bearer for that too. Now, there are a lot of things that still need to be negotiated with the Players Association, Olympic officials, and governing bodies that will allow NFL players to participate, including the international flag football community as well. How that works out and suggestions for potential players, how many players from certain teams are going to be allowed, what's that going to be looking like, can players play for different countries based off of that, and of course the guys that have grown the game of flag football that now see NFL players getting their shot or at least getting a chance to try out aren't too happy about it. But is it absurd or approved with NFL players being allowed to participate in flag football? Is it absurd or approved? Will Team USA flag football win the gold medal easily with NFL guys on the roster?
I think it's better if I do something with this just in order to kind of get my point across for this whole thing.
I'm just about that action, boss.
Yeah, there we go.
There it is.
Stamp of approval. Yes, absolutely. Look, I know that I don't want to discredit some guys that have played, flag football and, overseas and whatnot. They have a rapport and whatnot, and they know what they're doing. But, listen, man, you're going up against the top athletes literally in the world. And the NFL is the cream of the crop and whatnot. You have guys that will juke you out of your shoes. And literally the flag probably will never be taken from those said players. That being Tyreek, that being Jay Jettas, Justin Jefferson. If they add Mahomes and or Lamar Jackson as QB, it doesn't get better than that. Jalen Hurts, for that matter as well. Saquon Barkley, who knows? So it's got my stamp of approval. I just don't see any way that they're going to lose. Now, the only way that I think that they might be in trouble is if NFL head coaches and organizations decide, they're like, you're not going. Hell no. We don't want to risk our, franchises with you. And apparently, John Harbaugh is not a fan of Lamar going to the flag football and whatnot.
Right.
Which I can understand as a coach, you're kind of like, oh, something could happen and whatnot, which very well could. I understand that. But I'm kind of under the impression that, as long as you are smart about it, and if you have enough star power, and it seems like guys want to do this. I mean, did you see Jay Jettas up there? He was like, I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have a great, we're going to, kill it and whatnot. And Jay Jettas, I wouldn't be surprised if he is the captain of that team. It wouldn't shock me. It would not shock me if he was. But I would say, it's got my stamp of approval. I don't see them losing. As long as you have enough star power with these teams and whatnot, I think they'll easily win the flag football in 2028. Now, I'm surprised they okayed it, to be honest with you. I'm just serious. I'm just like, all right, well, it's time to dominate. So, yeah, stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you got?
I mean, we are still 3 years away. The NFL landscape could change drastically between now and 2028. So there's a lot of things that could go right, could go wrong for this whole endeavor of possibly seeing NFL players compete at the Olympics for a gold medal. And I've heard a fair amount of things too when it comes to, obviously active guys playing, but wouldn't this also be a great opportunity for maybe recently retired guys to get back into the mix? I mean, 3 years from now, we could see guys like, I don't know, like Mike Evans from Tampa. I mean, one guy I certainly hope doesn't. Antonio Brown, he's still got it. He could do some damage, but obviously his life is taking himself in other directions. But recently retired guys or guys that are still quite active. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, he still looks great. He's still quite active in many areas. But you see him on a flag football field. I mean, he could certainly be a main contributor. I mean, football could be a very young man's game. Flag football could be of that same nature. But we don't know what the world's going to be like 3 years from now. But I do like the opportunity, or at least saying NFL, the NFL's allowing this to happen because, of course, with the Olympics and the growth of flag football and the initiatives that the NFL is taking to grow flag football for communities, of course, not only for male competitors, but for female competitors as well through the high school ranks, especially too. It's great to see. I just feel that this could have a lot more problems than solutions. And of course, you've seen the guys, or at least, the guys that have been a big enough factor to at least grow the game of flag football for Team USA that are competing internationally right now. And now they're just like, great. Now they're going to let the professionals in. And what do? Just sit on our hands the whole time? That could certainly provide more problems than solutions, but I am in favor of it. It's got my stamp of approval of seeing the possibility of NFL players competing at the Olympics, and who wouldn't certainly love to see an NFL player come home with a gold medal too.
You mentioning Clowntonio Brown, all I have to say is this.
He had his chance, and he blew it.
Just saying. That's all I got to say with that. Clowntonio Brown. We don't need that on there. He will lose us the medal. That's what it'll I just wanted that. Mentioning Clowntonio Brown, we got to take shots, The interesting thing, too, is maybe even some guys that are maybe freshly minted retired or something like that,
Exactly.
They could mix and match. Who knows?
Absolutely.
That'd be great. So we'll see how it turns out. All right. Next one, Voldy.
Well, we head to the world of Major League Baseball and another announcement for Team USA and the 2026 World Baseball Classic will have its starting pitcher, or at least one of hopefully a few top names for Team USA, is Pittsburgh Pirates right-handed pitcher and, of course, a all-star in many regards. And, of course, after starting for the National League last year and was named Rookie of the Year, Paulskenes announced that he is committed to pitch for Team USA for the 2026 World Baseball Classic. Of course, this also coming off with New York Yankees outfielder Aaron Judge, who is also named Team USA captain and will be managed by former Major Leaguer Mark DeRosa, looking for another chance to win the championship after falling against Team Japan back in 2023. Now, with Paulskenes, it's no fault of his own. Of course, the struggles that he's had this season, his team has not been able to help him out, even at the tender age of 22 years old. Of course, being before representing as a 12-year-old and in college for Team USA, Skenes would certainly be an opportunity, and at least would like another chance to put on the colors of red, white, and blue. And of course, before that, of course, his time at LSU in college, and before that, when he was in the Air Force, serving, of course, not only for the school, but for our country on top of that. Is it absurd or approved with Paulskenes? Will he be the ace pitcher that leads Team USA to a medal for the 2026 WBC?
Well, since it's in, obviously 2026 and whatnot, yeah, it's got my stamp of approval. I think he'll be great for just kind of to bring even young eyes to the World Baseball Classic. And I think that's, I think a lot of people are saying that that's one of their favorite baseball players. He can, he's a very good pitcher. I know things haven't been going well, like you were saying with him, but I think once he has figure things out and whatnot. He's still a young pup. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he will, and I think he'll show kind of, if not the number one rotation guy, he's going to be on the starting pitching rotation for sure for Team USA. I mean, a lot can happen now until then, but yeah, I think he will. I think he'll be a very good addition, and I think he'll, like I said, bring a lot of young eyes to the World Baseball Classic. And let's not forget, I mean, not only is he winning on the field, but he is winning off the field, in fact, as well. So,
How much longer until he puts a ring on it?
That's a great question. I'm gonna give it a couple months.
22 though. 22 though.
He's a youngin'.
I mean, I got married at 23, but I mean, I'm not Paulskenes. I mean, we do share a first name. That's about it.
True.
That's the only relations that we're gonna have is the fact that we share a first name.
Like I said, winning on and off the field. That's all I got. All right, Voldy, what do you think?
I mean, I certainly love the fact that you get a guy like Paulskenes that is a young up-and-coming live arm, because we've certainly seen in the past where things have kind of fallen to the wayside for Team USA, and just getting a bunch of, I don't want to say subpar pitching, but not the best that we can come up with. Of course, with the World Baseball Classic, it is always at a bit of an awkward time. It's usually, of course, right before the season. It's right that time frame when guys start to get ramped up for spring training, and kind of in the middle of that. And the next thing you know, it's going to be the regular season. That is something that always kind of throw a bit of wrench in it when it comes to pitching, because obviously you don't want to overwork guys in these crucial situations, because they've been in an off-season program or pitching elsewhere during the off-season, and you don't want to risk injury when it comes to that. And then their club is sent back, and they're out of a starting pitcher or whatever for a number of, for an extended period of time. So that's definitely going to hurt in a lot of regards. But I love the fact that you get Paulskenes saying, yes, I'm going to commit to this. Hopefully that he can work and get a few of his buddies to come along with, or other guys that are saying, all right, if he's doing it and thinks he's going to be the best arm on the team, well, I'm going to have to do it, and I'm going to show them that I can be better arm than Paulskenes, or at least have a sense of saying, like, all right, if he's doing it, then something must be going right. And bringing back Mark DeRosa as well, I feel like was a smart choice, because he is definitely a player's manager, or at least, you see him almost every day. He's on the MLB network. He is, a lively personality, but he's just a baseball guy. He's a baseball homer, and that, that coaching staff that they're going to throw in there too with Mark DeRosa, there's definitely not a bad apple in the bunch. They've got the experience when it comes to managing, and at least, getting the best out of their players too. But bringing a guy back like D-Row to be the manager for Team USA, especially with the success that they had the first go around with getting all the way to the championship game against Japan. Great to see that, and the early commitments from Skenes and Judge. I feel like Skenes could definitely jump out to be that number one starter for Team USA. I will certainly throw that out there and say it's got my stamp of approval. He's going to have to be a guy to definitely shoulder the burden here, at least early on, unless we see somebody step up here from this season going into 2026.
Very true. Stay tuned. All right. Next one, Voldy.
Well, we say in the world of sports, but for those that harken back to the days of the early aughts, or maybe the late aughts of the 2000s, let's say 2007, 2008, on the wonderful channel that used to be Spike TV, let's bring back the show Pros versus Joes, where maybe recently retired or athletes that were top players in their game. The names that come to mind: Randy Couture, you got Kevin Green, Hakeem Olajuwon, you throw out Bill Goldberg, Ricky Williams, went up against random guys that say that they could beat a pro and be the ultimate Joe out of it. Well, Fanatics is taking that once hearkened dream of television that was back in the day, and bringing it to their second annual Fanatics Fest, which will have the Fanatics Games, which will have a pros versus Joes style competition between 50 athletes, celebrities, and influencers, and 50 fans who will submit video submissions through their app for roughly $2 million in prizes. Now, some of the events will have 8 sports-themed skills competitions measuring quarterback skills, basketball shooting, soccer goal scoring, baseball pitching accuracy, a washer dryer hockey shooting challenge, WWE Superstar entrance, a UFC striker challenge, and a closest to the pin golf challenge. Of course, there are a number of athletes, celebrities, and influencers that are thrown into the mix here with the possibility to win prizes going up against guys like, I don't know, Tom Brady, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, Alex Rodriguez, Odell Beckham Jr., KSI, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, even throw in some celebrity content creators like Tiffany Haddish, Kevin Hart, Drewski, and iShowSpeed. All that thrown into it. Each entrant will have they will be able to participate in all competitions to earn points, with a number of prizes being up. First place in points will take home $1 million. Second place takes home a Ferrari. Third place takes home a 2003-2004 Topps Gold Chrome Gold Refractor LeBron James rookie card, numbered to 50 and graded at a 9.5 by Beckett Grading Services. The exact copy that sold for just a hair under $200,000 at Golden Auctions earlier in March. Now, this will certainly be quite something coming up here. So, Matt, we've got about a month to train for this. New York's the Fanatics Fest will be held in New York, June 20th through the 22nd. Is it absurd or proof? Now, with Fanatics Fest coming up, this certainly does bring back, of course, the great memories. I don't know if you remember the show Pros versus Joes.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
But should this spark back the idea? Should the old Pros versus Joes format return back onto our television screens, one way or another?
I think so. I don't see why not. I think you can make money off it, and it seems like people can bet on it, right? Is that what it says on it? Yeah. No, I mean,
we could bet on anything right now. Yeah. I'm sure people are betting on this show right now to see how long it takes for little guy here to wake up. They've got the over-under at 13 and a half minutes right now, I believe.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, get the over.
To bring the over. Well, here's one thing, and, I'm looking at this list, and it's a good list, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But really, do we really have to have Draymond Green on there? Come on. I hope someone just kicks him in the nads or something. Even though he did say something positive about the Wolves, saying that they can win it all, which, it still remains to be seen, but we'll take it. Yeah, I think it should. I know we got time to prepare for it. The one thing that I think would be my motivating factor, Voldy, in all this is beating these so-called influencers. This iShowSpeed and Kai Cenat and the Pauls and everything like that. They're all hacks and chops. I just think that they go online, they record, they try to be funny, and people watch these guys. It's crazy to me. This guy's called iShowSpeed. Well, guess what? I don't care about iShowSpeed. So I think, I would like for them to get their shit rocked, to be honest. But Drewski, I don't really have a problem with. He is kind of funny and whatnot, but some of these guys are just weird. But yeah, I think it'll be kind of fun. The WWE Superstar entrance, what does that have to do with anything?
Who knows?
It's like, who does the best entrance? And it's like, well, Draymond's would suck. I know that. Russell Wilson's would suck really bad. I think that would be awful. Why not Kirko? Can we get... by the way...
Oh, my God! Kirko, chill!
That was an excuse to play that. But let's get Kirko in there. He'd be great. I think he'd be fantastic. So, yeah, I would say that, I think it should return. Stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you got?
I think Pros versus Joes was probably one of the most underrated shows of all time. I watched every single episode. I loved watching these idiots thinking that they could beat Randy Couture in the octagon. I love the fact that they thought they could break down Ricky Williams and basically try to tackle Ricky Williams at any point. I also love the show. I'm pretty sure this was on Spike TV when they had former college football players or guys that were bouncing around trying to make it in the NFL league or trying to make it to the NFL were actually trying to compete for a spot on the Dallas Cowboys. I remember that show a long time ago. I can't remember if it was on Spike TV or not, but having something like this, a little new twist on on the Pros versus Joes things, it could spark something. And the way the world is now with streaming services and all these apps, Fanatics is kind of stepping up their game, especially with Michael Rubin and, Tom Brady kind of really moving the needle in that direction. It would not surprise me if Pros versus Joes come back, especially with the number of, professional athletes that are in the content game, or at least, that want to maybe, push their mark and their branding a little bit more. Pros versus Joes is definitely something that could find its way back into our lives. And I sure hope that it's sooner than later. I'd love to see the results out of this coming up here next month. And let's see what happens.
So let's get ready. Let's beat these stupid influencers. Let's go. All right, last one, Voldy.
All right, so we head to the world of, sports. I don't know where we really want to put this, but, the conversation of performance-enhancing drugs and how it affects sports is we're going to be taking on a bit of a new twist as a new company hoping to infuse unprecedented levels of science, money, and performance-enhancing drugs into Olympic-style sports says that it will be holding its first formal competition coming up next year, May of 2026 in Las Vegas. Now, Enhanced Games announced plans this week that they will be hosting an event for their first annual competition, which athletes will be allowed, if not outright encouraged, to use performance-enhancing drugs like steroids, testosterone, HGH that are typically legal to possess but banned in sports. So this is throwing out a whole new level of seeing what we can do to the human body and how we can make it do things a whole lot better in pushing the physical limits of human performance. Now, of course, we've seen over the years of what, steroids and performance-enhancing drugs use has been in other professional sports, amateur sports with, of course, Olympics and the subsequent bans that have gone along with it. But here we are now in a world where maybe people are calling for, professional athletes to say, you know what? Let them take the steroids. Let them do it all. You want to see something exciting in sports? Let them take all the roids in the world, see what happens on top of it. Now we're at a point here. Is it absurd or approved? Should there be more performance-enhancing drug events to showcase what the human body is capable of, i.e., let's take all the steroids and see what happens?
The things that people do are just nuts. I was just quick skimming this, and this is pretty funny. This Travis Tigert, I don't know who this guy is. He's the head of the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. He referred to this whole thing as a dangerous clown show that puts profit over principle. It's kind of funny. I mean, he's poor. Yeah, well, it might be. I don't know, but I just think it's funny. I'm not. I don't think this is a great idea. I will admit. I think this might be a little too far-fetched, and I could see this kind of going bad very quickly. Now, I could be wrong. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, it's this D'Souza or whatever his name is seems like an interesting fellow. He wants to move humanity forward. The old rules just didn't hold back athletes. They held back humanity. Man, he sounds like a prophet more than a guy that's, doing this whole thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see this going well. I just think this is... now that it was allowed and everything like that, I feel like someone's going to do something stupid and it's all going to get all messed up and whatnot. So maybe they got to, add more rules, things like that, just to make sure everyone's okay and whatnots. But I think this could go wrong really quick. Just my opinion on it. Maybe there needs to be, I could be proven wrong. I don't know. I'm no expert on roids and stuff like that. All I know is that I don't know how these PED events will work out, and I don't think this will be successful. I really don't. So, but hey, I could be proven wrong. So I'll say absurd. Voldy, what do you got?
I mean, we are in a world now where, of course, like I've talked about a couple of times, where performance-enhancing drugs and them being banned, and of course the subsequent banning, of course, with the Russian doping, and in the Olympics, you've seen the world where Lance Armstrong cheated by taking, drugs to allow him to be a better hockey player. Reading the wrong thing, being a better cyclist. Obviously Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, all those guys in Major League Baseball. But now we're starting to see maybe just a little bit of laxing in that area, just to see, let's see what could really happen. Where's the excitement in sport now? You take away all the drugs and all the steroids. Games have gotten a little bit watered down a little bit. Not as exciting as it used to be. Of course, you don't want the real sports to be affected by performance-enhancing drugs. Let's make up, these other leagues and these other events to see, all right, let's give this guy all the steroids and see if he can hit a baseball really far without, killing somebody afterwards due to roid rage. That's kind of at the point where it would be. It's, a literal human cockfighting at this point, just to see how we can do this safely and fair. But you know what? Let's make up something and see what comes out of it. I could see this going very well or very bad at the same time. Either way, it's going to be happening. Could we see more? Should we see more? I think it's absurd. Let's see what happens with the first one and just go off of that. But, none of this is going to be real. None of it's going to be really legitimate. I mean, these guys are all cooked up out of their minds with, steroids and HGH and human growth hormone and God knows what else. And, I'm going to be more scared about what happens afterwards with all these guys and, athletes on top of it. Just physically what's going to happen.
Yikes. All I got to say is yikes. We'll see. I don't know. We could be wrong. We'll see. All right. Great job with Shield Shoutouts. Where I'm losing it. ARA Voldy this week. Well done. We got Shield Shoutouts coming up. A lot of stuff with retirements, as well as a happy early anniversary as well. So more on that in a second. Let's get it going with some Shield Shoutouts.
Shield Shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who you shouting at tonight?
Well, first off, I would like to wish everybody a happy, healthy, and safe Memorial Day weekend coming up here. Hopefully everybody gets time to unwind and relax. Hopefully this weekend, spend some time with some family and loved ones. I know that I'll certainly be enjoying. Hopefully the weather turns around, or at least is just a little bit warmer than it has been this week, and hopefully less rainy on top of it. Also, that being said, Memorial Day weekend come rolling around, and also a happy early anniversary to my wife, creative consultant, Mrs. Sarah Ann Toosvold, as we are going on 8 years married together. Obviously been around and been married, been together. Happy early anniversary with my wife, and hopefully we have a good anniversary on top of that. Of course, a couple of retirements coming through the woodwork as of late. Best of luck in retirement to longtime NHL winger, and most notably this multiple trips and stints with the Edmonton Oilers, who are in the Stanley Cup playoffs in the Western Conference Finals. Sam Gagner is retiring from the world of NHL sports, so hopefully he finds something better with his time post-career. And best of luck in retirement to longtime second baseman, most notably with his time with the St. Louis Cardinals, but did have a couple of stints elsewhere with, of course, Seattle and I believe Milwaukee on top of that, too. Colton Wong is hanging up the cleats as well. Of course, I most notably remember him from getting picked off in the early goings of the 2013 World Series in the 9th inning, and a reason why he got picked off. Nobody really knows of why he did that, but got picked off to end a game in the World Series, which ultimately ended up being a Red Sox win in 2013 for the World Series. And that is going to do it for Shield Shoutouts this week.
Yes, well done with Shield Shoutouts. Happy retirements to those fellows. And happy early anniversary to you, Voldy.
Thank
you
you,
and
sir.
Sarah, 8 years. I was there. It was awesome. Great time and whatnot. And, yeah, it's hard to believe it's been that long. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, guys, Wolves. Go Wolves. Hopefully tomorrow will be a little bit better. Remember, if you trip and you're not SGA, that is not a foul. So just to let you know. So don't flop, I will say. Don't flop, because they will not call it. Guys, we got merch. We got plenty of merch. We got the sweatpants, the shirts, the stickers, the hats, the whole kit and caboodle. You guys can get a lot of good deals with it, too. So let us know. We can send those out to you, give you prices, the whole deal. So let's we'll get you some stuff. We got plenty of it. Thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, and Tyler Knutson for the stickers. And shout out to W2 Performance. Our guy, Will Rattel at www.w2performance.com. You can check him out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook as well. Make sure you check out the Brotherly Ballers podcast. Tyler Hermann and Jack Vickers. They're doing awesome things as well, so make sure you check those guys out. And then our guy, Troy Stoudemire, TLS Performance. He's doing some awesome things as well. Make sure you check him out. And check out the Popcorn Bucket List, PBL, with Nick Dahlhoff and Ryne Myhrberg as well. Omni Entertainment. They've got reviews. They've got weekly episodes. Make sure you check those guys out on all the latest movies coming your way. So, that being said, guys, we got a fun-filled weekend. Hopefully, you guys have a safe Memorial Day weekend. Go Wolves. We will be eagerly watching those Wolves take on the Thunder and pray for the best. Hopefully knock down some shots and make this turn some heads and say, see, they're not done yet. I didn't hear no bell. So we will see how it turns out for Wolves and the Twins. Before we end, too, yeah, the Twins doubleheader today. Game one, lost game two, but not too bad. 27-22 or something. So hey, that's not awful. And Paige Buckets makes her return to Minnesota tonight against the Lynx. She's playing for the Dallas Swings now, so we can cheer for the Lynx to win all that, but she could score a little bit. It'll be all right. We'll be cool with that. So, all right, that'll do it for episode 240. So, without further ado, folks, remember, as always, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.